Popular MMA YouTuber MMA Guru has quite literally put out a hit on UFC bantamweight Mario Bautista following a split decision win over Jose Aldo this past weekend at UFC 307. And today we are going to get into everything to do with this Bautista versus Aldo fight at UFC 307 because the performance was disgraceful. It speaks a lot to the state of how some of these fighters are trying to win fights and advance their career. And, you know, today we're actually going to talk about how Khalil Roundtree and Mario Bautista taught us that winning isn't everything when it comes to prize fighting. All right. So stick around to hear my thoughts on this headline right here, the fight itself, and some other headlines and news clips that we have as well. Dana White is not too happy with this style of fighting. So today we're going to get into it. I'm Wyatt. This is Fight Society. Before we get into the video, guys, please make sure to like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. It really helps me out a lot. Become a channel member if you want extra content, all that good stuff. Thank you very much. Back to the video. For those of you that did not watch UFC 307, ranked bantamweight Mario Bautista got the biggest opportunity of his career where he fought Jose Aldo, a legend, on the main card of UFC 307. And he ended up winning the fight, which you think would be a huge up for his career, big things coming next. And it turns out that his win has had the exact opposite effect that you think a win over somebody like Jose Aldo would do. So today we're going to get into that. First off, we have a very, very interesting proposition from the MMA Guru. Now, here is MMA Guru putting a $10,000 hit out on Mario Bautista in the cage. Let's not get crazy with it. It's in the cage, all right? I already see the comments going, oh, Guru, this and that.
I'm putting out a fucking hit right now. Within the UFC's confines of the octagon, I need to point that out. 10K for the first UFC bantamweight to leave Mario Bautista unconscious on the floor in the canvas. During a UFC fight in the octagon, $10,000 for any UFC bantamweight that leaves him stiff in the octagon asleep. MMA Guru bounty. Forget the MMA Guru bonus scheme. I'm putting bounties out on these boring motherfuckers, and someone's getting them slept. Starting with this guy, Mario Bautista. How fucking dare you do that to Al? And I'll put it out. I
gotta be honest. I'm with Guru on this one, guys. This type of fight style, forget Disney, forget the ESPN deal, forget bad card, but forget these Apex cards. Guys like this being in high-level fights, guys like Merab Dvalishvili, Bilal Muhammad being champions with this fight style, this is the downfall of the UFC. Forget all that bad cards. They're giving us fast food. They're giving us McDonald's cards at the Apex. Forget all that. People will stop tuning in for title fights if this is what we have as champions. And they always talk about it being a fight. They talk about it being a fight. And then they go in there and they treat it too much like a sport. They're trying to game the system with points. It's the same thing as trying to get cheap points or faking a foul in basketball or flopping in soccer. It's a way to try and game the system to win via points. And it's the path of least resistance. It's the path of least damage, but it's also the path of lowest paychecks. I mean, the UFC is not going to be cutting $1 million paychecks for title fights to guys that put the fans to sleep. And I'm not talking about Raquel Pennington and Juliana Pena. I'm talking about 135 pounds. The most popular, second most popular probably, the most talented and most entertaining division that the UFC has. It's absolutely ridiculous that we have to deal with paying $80 for a pay-per-view. And look, I know the fighters are trying to get a win. Take the path of least resistance. Fuck that. It's prize fighting. This is not the NFL. This is not the NBA. I don't care if Steph Curry scores 3 points, but they win. All right. I don't care if LeBron gets 5 points on the night and they win. This is prize fighting. We're here for entertainment. Okay. We're degenerates watching guys take brain cells from each other. This is just what it is. Okay. I don't want to hear anybody in my comments talking and calling me a casual. This is the sentiment in the fan base because I am the culture. I'm kidding. First off, this brings me to my point that I just made about guys in a fist fight not trying to fight, and Dana White feels the same way. Base Dana White.
Dana, going back to that Aldo fight, you know, in the third round, Mario came out and sort of went for a takedown. Referee separated them, immediately go straight for the takedown again. Do you think the referee could have been more active in quitting on the stalling there?
I always think that the referee should be more active on that, 100%, especially when somebody keeps doing it to stall. And you guys aren't going to fucking let up on this, are you? I guess we'll get into it. If you I don't know if you're judging on a guy, whether it's control, if it's this or that. If you're not trying to fight, how do you win the fight, right? And if you're looking at attempted takedowns, well, what about stuffing the takedowns? Just madness.
There is a difference between offensive grappling and just wasting time.
100%.
And it's not just the referees that need to recognize that, but clearly the judges as well.
When you can tell that the guy definitely doesn't want to stand and strike and just wants to stall against the fence. Yes, the refs, that's their job. They're supposed to see it. When they see it continually happening and that the guy is not trying to win the fight, then you keep breaking them up.
Do you think Conor McGregor tweeted about his idea for stopping stall?
Okay, and then he goes into Conor McGregor talking about how they wish they would shorten the clock. Like the first separation is at 20 seconds. If he stalls again, you break him up at 10. If he stalls again, you break him up at 5 seconds, things like that. And honestly, guys, we're here for entertaining fights. The UFC or every other sport has done things over time to make the sport more entertaining. I'm about to cook. You guys don't even realize. Every other sport does things for the sake of being more entertaining. In baseball, they have the live ball era where they started lowering the height of the mound, making the seams on baseball smaller so that you couldn't have as much break on a curveball or a slider. They started lowering the mound so it wasn't coming as much of an angle downwards. They started winding the balls tighter so that they would have more pop or more bounce off the bat to make them go farther. The NBA added 3-pointers at one point. The NFL does different things like change the kickoff rules or change the extra point rules. To a certain point, you have to adjust with the times. Now you have fighters that are gaming the current system and stalling. And what you have to do, you have to counteract that type of adjustment that fighters are making. The rules already state damage. All right. Many people say that it's only damage. The actual rule is effectiveness. And if you're talking about effectiveness, Mario Bautista failing 10 takedowns against Jose Aldo, Merab Dvalishvili failing 16 takedowns, not completing one. That's ineffective. Jose Aldo, in those two fights, he went, I believe, 26-0 on defending takedowns. I think he got taken down 0 times, and he defended 16 against Merab. He defended 10, I believe, against Bautista this past weekend. That's effective, nullifying what the other guy is trying to do. The other guy is trying to take you down. Hopefully, if he's holding you up against the fence, kick him out of the UFC right now. But guys, I'm usually more chill on my videos. I'm pissed about this. We're tuning in for fights. We're watching 5-6 hours of fights, or one of the fights that we're looking forward to the most get absolutely ruined by the guy we're not even excited to see. We were excited to see Jose Aldo, and that guy went out there. And I'm not saying he has to adjust to Jose Aldo's style, but he shit all over what the fans wanted in that event and what the crowd wanted to see. We've seen recently what effective offensive grappling is. Renato Moicano beat Benoit Saint-Denis to a pulp, got the fight ended. Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev, those guys get takedowns or they get a trip. They are hunting for a sub. Islam Makhachev is looking to end the fight for the whole 25 minutes. Charles Oliveira is looking to end the fight as soon as it starts, from start to finish. You see Mario Bautista gets separated and shoots another takedown immediately. Whereas you have guys like Charles Oliveira going for a Darce choke at the end of round 3 when he's losing. Islam Makhachev getting a round 5 sub in a very close fight with Dustin Poirier. He's not going, I might be up a round. Let me run the clock out. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, we move on to the judging. Dana White talks about how the judges should take this into account as well. And something that I wanted to point out, this was posted by @JTLines on Twitter, reposted by a good friend of the channel, Fightwave. It says Mike Bell, who's a judge, was a part of 3 split decision cards last night, and he scored those fights. It's 29-28 Yasmin Lucindo, the only judge to give Lucindo the first round, 29-28 Bautista, and 48-47 Pena. All of these relative robberies. I'd say the Pena one was the most egregious, but the Bautista one is up there. This tweet says, last year he, quote, took some time away from judging to get his mind right after the 10-8 he scored for Alex versus Chevy. I think that means Alexa Grasso versus Shevchenko, where the fight was a draw because a completely bullshit 10-8 was scored for Grasso in the final round. We have a judge judging fights that took time away from fights because he realized that he didn't know what he was doing. Now he's back, costing these athletes their careers. I think judging is something that's going to be forever broken in the UFC. I don't think they're going to always, I don't think they're ever going to get it all the way figured out, or at least I'm not confident in them doing that. But something to point out is that these guys really don't know what they're looking at, or maybe we don't. But either way, there needs to be more clarity, and everybody has to get on the same page. It's ridiculous. This is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video as to how Khalil Roundtree and Mario Bautista taught us that winning and losing doesn't always matter, especially in prize fighting. Here we have a tweet from Hey Jive Picks. Shout out to him. Doesn't matter if you win or lose in the UFC. It's about how you make the fans feel. One of these guys will have lifelong fans and the other will rot in the apex. And for further clarification, Khalil Roundtree obviously lost the main event of UFC 307, but he displayed heart, toughness, and didn't give up. Was trying to fight. He stayed on the feet swinging with the most dangerous striker that we have in the game today. And he just went until his body said no. That guy gained a lot of IG followers. That guy gained lifelong fans. I thought Khalil Roundtree was corny because of how emotional he gets. My opinion of him, I mean, I still have a semi-similar opinion to him, but he did gain me as a fan. Mario Bautista, who came out with the win. That should be his big moment. You beat Jose Aldo. He's going to rot in the apex. They're going to put him up against like Pedro Munoz in an Apex co-main event. That's going to be the type of fight that he gets. Khalil Roundtree is going to get like a pay-per-view co-main against Jamal Hill, or a fight night main event against like Jamal Hill or Yuri or something like that. He lost. He's going to fight up in the rankings. Mario Bautista won. He's going to fight down. It just shows you how the winning and losing in this sport is not everything. That this is prize fighting. This is not just traditional team sports where wins and losses matter. Now, when you're a regional fighter, when you're a prelim fighter, those type of things do matter. You do have to build your resume. You do have to move up the rankings. But when you're in big spots, we want to see a fight. We don't want to see you game the clock and the judging into finessing a decision out of Jose Aldo. I'm serious. And given the lack of aggressiveness, he should have lost anyway. So we move on from there. The fans are pissed. I showed you guys the MMA Guru clip, but we also have a couple of other ones as well. We have this right here from Tree Rat MMA. It's obviously a meme, but it says, force Mario Bautista to have his death before dishonor tattoo forcefully lasered off. Look, that shit's harsh, but this is the type of reaction that you get from MMA fans when you fight like that. This is the game we play. And here we have another one that says, petition to send Mario Bautista to Diddy's house after what he did at UFC 307. Again, harsh, but this is the game we play, guys. You want to fight in the UFC? You want to fight like that? And then go on the mic and say, not my problem? Well, you get booed out of the building. It's just the wrong way to look at things. I know that there's the actual advancing your career aspect where if he lost, he'd have to fight down in the rankings, maybe defend his rank spot. But you're fighting Jose Aldo. This is not a stepping stone on the prelims of an Apex card type of fight. This is a stepping stone where you can become a top 5 guy. You beat Jose Aldo, you're fighting a Cheeto, Song Yadong, somebody like that that's not booked right now. It's just one of those things, man. He did it to himself, shot himself in the foot, and then bragged about it. It's interesting. But really, I want to hear what you guys have to say about this as well, because on a personal, emotional level, a lot of us are pissed that Jose Aldo lost, for one, and lost in the fashion that he did against a guy that put on a piss poor performance. So what should be done to prevent this, okay? Do we need to change the judging? Do we need to change the referees' conduct in terms of breaking these things up? What do you guys think? Because what I personally think is that it's not like it needs to be something of, like, not a specific rule that says at 10 seconds of no action, this gets split up. It needs to be something along the lines of like a broad stroke where it says something about it's the referee's responsibility to move the fight along. Something like that. Because that's what you want to feel. You want to feel like the fight is moving forward. Even Juliana Pena and Raquel Pennington, they had a terrible put people to sleep type of first 3 rounds, and then they kind of scrapped towards the end. It felt like the fight was moving forward, you know? Whereas this fight, it felt like it was being stuck in the same place. It was like Mario Bautista was hitting the pause button while the clock was still running. It's the same thing. Israel Adesanya versus Yoel Romero, Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. It didn't feel like the fight was progressing. It felt like neither of them wanted to engage in a fight. And that's what it felt like for Mario Bautista. I genuinely feel that what needs to happen is a broad stroke type of rule. Now, what's next for Aldo? It's probably something fun like Dom Cruz, but I'm going to do I'm going to do a matchmaking video later this week as to what we do with all of bantamweight, because bantamweight is in a really interesting spot now. Merab doesn't have a title defense announced yet. Sean O'Malley's not booked. He just got surgery. Corey Sandhagen's unbooked. We only have a few bookings, so I'll let you guys know later this week what to do with bantamweight, so come back around for that. Guys, I'm Wyatt from Fight Society, and this is why winning does not always matter in prize fighting. Thanks. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. It really helps me out a lot. If you're interested in supporting the channel further, then become a channel member today for access to members-only live streams, vlogs, and some other members' perks. So click the link in the description down below or the join button on our channel homepage to become a member today. If you're interested in some non-MMA content from me, go check out my personal channel, Wyatt's World, and go check out my weekly comedy podcast, What's Up Bro, with Wyatt and Bo. Both of those are linked in the description down below. Go watch this suggested video, and we'll see you next time.